Yo, oh shit, too loud. Yo, my bad. Um, I know normally this is the occult hour talk with Ryan, but I just got back in. I need to talk about this movie I just seen because it fits tonight's narrative and everything that we always talk about. I'm talking about the Prodigy. Yes, this movie was fucked up in a good way. Shout out to Lawless, Wildfire, O'Sheila, Tyrese, Big B, Cayman, Eight Letter, Lord Vell. Yo, Enoble, yes. 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 I thought it was rather creative. And yeah, so let me get into it. I'm gonna put this on a movie review channel as well. So I'm not gonna be as amped and as animated as I usually am. I'm gonna try to cut back on the curse words. So we'll see how this goes. Briscoe, what's happening? At least I'm gonna go talk with the long days. It's get spooky for sure, for sure. For sure. I'm not. I talked to Ryan earlier, and he's free, so I'm not. I don't know. We'll play it by ear, but I gotta talk about this movie real quick. Okay, reincarnation is what this movie is about. Reincarnation. So it starts off. There's this lady. She breaks out of this house in Ohio. Gerard, what's happening? She's running through the woods to escape her tormentor, right? And then she, runs a few miles, and there's a lady's driving. She comes across this lady on the cross of the road or whatever, and the lady almost hits her. So, lady, she gets out to see what the problem is. The lady's like, the escaped lady. She's like, he took my hand. He took my hand, and as you can clearly see, he cut off her right hand. She lost her right hand. Then there's this couple. They've been trying to have a baby for a long time, right? They end up having a baby. So what ends up happening is on the way to the hospital, she's about to give birth. The cops show up in Ohio. Now, mind you, this is going on in two different spots. The couple's about to have the baby in Pennsylvania. The lady that escaped the guy in Ohio. Okay, you always take so long to get started. I guess. Information man, what's happening? Salute, peace, 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 peace. So then the serial killer, he's a serial killer. He's called the Thrust Creek Killer. All right. Why do it take so long to get started? Okay, I need one of my mods to boot fucking Nasia for you out of here. Fucking up my vibe right now. Boot that motherfucker out of here. Please and thank you. Miss B, hey. Miss B is one of my favorite peoples right now. So he has sensors and alerts and alarms all around the house. So he sees the cops coming. He goes to look for the lady or his victim. He sees that she's not there. She escaped. And so so then he runs out, he takes off all his clothes, he runs outside naked. And the cop SWAT's like, freeze, don't move, what are you doing? And he makes a move like he has a gun. They shoot him. He's holding the lady's hand that he took. Okay, the lady that had the right hand's missing, that she's like, oh, you took my hand. He's holding her hand, right? They shoot him. Key point. He got shot 7 times, 7 bullet holes in his body, right? The very moment after he dies, 15 minutes later, the couple in Pennsylvania have their son. The kicker is, you know how the baby has residue, amniotic sac fluid and all types of stuff on the baby, on the baby as it's born. So the baby's laying there, and it's got 7 little blood splatters in the same way that the serial killer got killed. So you see, when the serial killer gets shot by the cops, there's 7 bullet holes in a certain angle in his body. The baby being born, a little boy, had 7 little blood spots on his body, the same angle as the serial killer. I said, okay, here we go. So then the kid is a prodigy. He's very highly intelligent. He starts talking at the age of what, 3-4 months, right? And then it progresses. He's a smart kid. The parents are like, "Oh my god, we have a little genius," and they're trying to find schools for him to help nurture his geniusness, right? And okay, so then uh he's a weird kid, but of course there's two different entities or souls in this kid. No one knows about this, of course. And then over the course of time, as the kid gets older, certain personality develops in this child, whatever the case may be. So what ends up happening is, in one instance, he's playing hide and seek with the babysitter, and he has this look when he goes blank. He blanks out, right? Like he's overcome by something, and he gets that look. So if he's playing hide and go seek with the babysitter, right? He unscrews the light bulb in the basement. He purposely goes into the basement, and and she's like, okay, okay. She takes a couple steps down to the basement. She's like, okay, I give up. You can come out now. And she takes another step down in the basement, and this little boy breaks glass on purpose on the steps. So she steps the last final step. She steps on the glass. She falls the fuck down. Curse. God damn it. There's two curse words. She falls down. This huge piece of glass in her foot. Oh my god, crazy, right? Parents get home. Mother's asking the boy, "Well, what happened?" And he's like, "I don't remember. I don't remember," because he legit did not remember. He does not remember because he blanks out. He gets that look. He blanks out. He's not there. He checked out. He's like, "Mommy, we were playing high. She was counting, and then she was hurt. I don't remember. I don't remember." Okay. So all is forgiven, whatever the case may be. And so different doctors are looking at him. They want to take him to different schools. These are high-end genius schools, and he's not a very sociable child, right? So then the one thing that the serial killer loved to do was create cameras, closed circuit cameras. So he has a thing for this. In the baby monitor, like the video part of it, you can see the boy in one shot saying something over the crib. Couldn't make out what language it was. That was your first instance, like, hey, something's not right. Then at night, he has these nightmares, and he's speaking a different language, speaking in different tongues. The dog senses something is wrong with this child. Okay. Then what I'm not trying to miss anything, because I'm trying to take my time with this, but it was okay. So then he's at this school, and he wants to work with a particular female student. He asks little Asian boy, he says, hey, I want to work with her. And Asian boy says, we already decided to work together. The little boy, the prodigy, he asks for a bathroom break. He goes into the janitor's closet and grabs one of those cast iron wrenches, the big red heavy wrenches. He walks back into the class. He says, "Hey, Dash," and starts to beat this little Asian kid with the wrench. Beat him, right? Beat him. He didn't kill him, but he beat him pretty good. All right. Okay. So then he's taken to a psychiatrist. The mother gives her the tape of she records him having a nightmare. He's speaking in a different dialect. She's like, okay, I'll take a listen to it. So then other instances where the kid's just, 1 minute he's a little sweet, little frail little boy. The next minute he's just gone, right? Like someone else is in his body, clearly. All right. He's not a genius, but dysfunctional. Well, that depends now, because now you're talking about the serial killer entity in him was genius level, highly socially awkward, but we'll get into all that. His backstory. Okay, so then da, 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 da. So the doctor lady calls a friend and says, "Hey, take a listen to this tape." They translate it. It's in Hungarian, an old ancient version of Hungarian that only 400,000 people in this world can speak it, near the Romanian River. And when she said Romania, it tripped me out because at first thing you say Romania, I think about old girl. So that kind of messed with me. So I was just like, holy shit, I know that's not cool. But I don't want to get off. I don't want to get sidetracked. Um, so then the lady calls the mother. She says, hey, uh, I want to talk to you about, you know, I got a friend who specializes in different types of behavior. So she brings him in to talk to Arthur Jacobson. Arthur Jacobson specializes in reincarnation, right? Reincarnated souls. And he's breaking it down to this lady, he's explaining one of his cases of the little Indian boy who was 6 years old, who recalled his former life, took him to the village. Of course, the mother's like, I might there's something wrong with my son. I'm not going to subject him to this. She rejects it clearly. So then the tension is starting to affect her and her husband. Now, her husband uh, has suffered abuse from his father in his home, and he's trying to be the best father he can be, whatever case may be. The stress is getting to him. The funny thing is the spirit of Oscar Shakar. These souls know everything about the person who they're dealing with, so they can tell you all your faults and flaws. Okay, and so then the boy still doing creepy weird stuff. He ends up killing the dog. He cuts off the dog's paw. So what he does is sharpen some garden shears, cuts off the dog's paws. Now the serial killer has a thing for hands. The thrust killer, he of all his victims, he cuts off their hands before he kills them. So Arthur is trying to explain to the lady, a lot of these souls come back for unfinished business. He was like, we need to find out who he is, or who the person is, and find out why they came back, and see if we can save your son, because if it gets a little bit further, there's no coming back for the kid. Just one soul would dominate the other. Classic, alter DID, whatever the case may be. All right. So the husband goes away for a couple of days because what ends up happening after he beat the boy with the wrench, he talks to the shrink, and he convinces the shrink that he's being abused at home. Of course, the mother's like, well, it's the father, because you come from an abusive home. Of course, you're beating my child. He's like, I never touch your child, and I'm our child. I love my kid, and I'll never do that. Yeah, my dad's a piece of shit, but I'm not like him. Come to find out, the little boy, well, during his phase out when he's being the spirit, created a closed circuit camera with their family picture that's been in the parents' room. The dad sees the picture. He's like, "What is this? What is this?" And he sees it's a closed circuit monitor, and he's like, "He's been spying on us." So he goes to confront his son, and of course, his son is really his son. He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know." And so the dad goes away for a few days. This movie is so jacked up in a good way. And then she takes the boy to go see Arthur for the regression, where he goes under hypnosis to determine who the spirit is and determine why they're here, and see if we can get the person or the spirit to leave. So during the regression, the spirit of Oscar, I think his name is Oscar, no, Isaac Skakar, something like that, some weird Hungarian name. So they have a confrontation. The spirit says to the doctor, he says, "Hey, aren't those your pills in the cabinet? It's illegal to give pills to a child against their will." Then he says to the to the doctor, he says, "You know, if I passed out and told them you had your cock in my mouth, and if they seen pubic hair that I took from the bowl of your toilet and put it in my teeth, who do you think they're gonna believe, me or you? So the doctor shook, and he tells the doctor, "Hey, when I snap my fingers, you're gonna tell the lady it didn't work, and you're never gonna see us again." Okay? He said, "You're just an old man, an old hippie living off your family's fortune." I mean, he breaks the doctor down. The doctor shook. So doctor, after the spirit leaves, whatever, because he's trying to command um Miles to tell him who the spirit's name. Of course, he doesn't tell him outright, but what Miles does is actually scratch the name of the spirit into his couch, into his leather couch, which you don't see until after he leaves. So he walks the boy out, and the mother's like, "Well, what happened?" He said, "It didn't work. I thought it was something there. It wasn't there. My mistake." And she's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" He's like, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It didn't work. There's nothing there." So they go back home, and then the doctor is like shook, and he sees where the boy had scratched. Miles had scratched his couch, and he sees the name. So he does all a bunch of anagrams and trying to figure out a piece together exactly what name he came up with. Comes up with the name. In the meantime, back home with the mother, and okay, so father comes back, says he found a facility for them to put him in, whatever the case may be. Um, wait for it. Okay, so they're still dealing with that, and as the movie progresses, the spirit is becoming more stronger and more emboldened and a little bit more dominant here and there. So then there's a scene where the mother's having a dream, and she wakes up and sees Miles in the hallway, and he's like, Miles, and Miles is freaking out. And mommy, I had a bad dream. So she runs to she's like, come here, baby. She runs to Miles, and as soon as he gets up on her, it's the serial killer, right? He's naked and he runs up on her, like, ah, and she wakes up, she's like, ah. And Miles in the doorway, were you dreaming? And she's like, yes, I was dreaming. He's like, can I come sleep with you? And he runs into the bed and crawls in there. And this is the scene in the trailer. Mommy, will you still love me no matter what I do? And she's like, yes, baby, I'm your mother, and I'll always love you. Oh my God. So yeah. All right. So then Arthur discovers who the entity is. It's the Thrust Killer. Damn it, is his name Isaac? Isaac Sakar. Yeah, something like that. Close. Yeah, Miles got kicked out. Miles is at this point. Miles is in regular elementary school because he got kicked out of the high end schools. No one's gonna touch this kid. So he's back in the regular hood schools. Yeah, basically. And so Arthur calls her at 2 a.m. Okay, 2 a.m. He's like, hey, I'm sorry, but listen, you're in danger. This I know the name of the spirit. Look it up. Don't tell Miles nothing. Don't believe anything he says. So she's looking up on the internet, whatever the case may be, and she sees Isaac Sakar, and he's the Thrust Killer, and killed 9 women in 5 years, and he cuts off their hands before he kills them. And the one that got away, she realizes he came back to finish the job to kill her. Okay, so then she tells her, then her husband wakes up, but in one shot you see Miles in the corner of the house. When she's on the phone, she's like, hold on. And you see her husband come down the stairs, and then the shot again, you don't see Miles anymore. So she goes up to her husband and like gives him a hug, and it's like, look, we got to do something about Miles. We can't let him know nothing. Okay, just can't trust him. We're gonna do something about Miles. So their whole plan is to taking Miles to the loony farm. Okay, so the plan is the dad goes to pick up Miles from school, like a family emergency, and the mother packs his clothes, and then they all meet up at the facility. Of course, Miles has different plans. So as there's this dynamic between Miles and his father, of course, because now you're dealing with the spirit of an old man that's almost twice his age, whatever the case may be, and he likes to provoke his father, right? So then they're in a truck on the way to the facility, and Of course, the dad's upset. But before that, when the dad picks him up from school, he says, "Hey, in emergency, we got to go." He's like, "Miles," and the Miles just gives him that look, like, because now at this point it's not Miles, and he's like, "Miles, let's go now." And everyone's in class is like, "Oh, what's going on here?" So on the ride to the facility, the dad's upset and distraught. He's like, Miles, we had to do something that was best for everybody, for you, and when you're older, hopefully, you'll understand. So Miles, the garden shears that he loves to keep sharpening, this little son bitch, while his dad is driving, he's in the back seat. He cuts his dad's seatbelt. So he's like, "What are you doing, Miles? What are you doing?" And then Miles blanks out because he has that look. He stabs his dad with the garden shears in his side, right? In his right side. So he's like, crashes into a tree. Dad's all messed up. Dad has swelling on the brain. He's going to be in a medically induced coma for the next 3 weeks. The mother finds out. She goes to the hospital. She tells her husband in his state, like, "I'm gonna fix it. I got an idea. I'm gonna fix it." Her plan is to go kill the survivor. Hopefully that will be enough for Isaac to leave her son. That's her plan. Her plan is to go kill the surviving lady, the lady that escaped, so that hopefully the spirit will be happy and leave her son's body. Okay. So then she goes, and then she's like, "Where's my son?" He's in the other room. He's got this, where the impact and the seatbelt kind of give him a rash, a little burn across the chest, whatever. And she's like, "What happened?" And he's like, and he goes to hug her, and she's like, "No." And then he's like, "Look, I'm gonna fix you. We're gonna fix you. Okay, you gotta trust me, though. You gotta trust me." He's like, "Okay." So they go on a car ride. They're going to Ohio. She goes to a pawn shop to go buy. She buys a 38 revolver. And then before she gets on the trip, she's like, "Look, Miles, I need, those pills that I gave you that make you always, for the car sickness, to make you sleep." He's like, "Yeah, I need you to take the pills because I don't trust you." So and I need to watch you take the pills. He takes the pills. She's like, "Where are we going? Just go to sleep. Close your eyes." So he closes his eyes, and they're driving to Ohio. They get to the lady's house. But before then, as she was packing his clothes while the dad went to go pick him up from school early, she discovers a false bottom at the bottom of his dresser. She opens it up. It's the book she wrote. The survivor wrote a book about her experience with the Thrust Creek killer. And then she pulls out all these drawings of hands and the woman's face and the newspaper clippings. That's when she pieced together that's what he's come back to finish the job. Okay, moving on. So they get to the lady's crib. He's still in the car asleep, allegedly. And the lady's like, "Well, I don't necessarily meet people in my home." He's like, "You really helped me with an experience, and you really helped me. I just need 5 minutes." So she lets the lady in. Of course, she's got the hook hand, the old school prosthetic hook, right? The Captain Hook joint. She's like, "Okay, I'll make you some tea, peppermint or lemon." She's like, "It doesn't matter." It's knowing the whole time this woman's going to, the plan is to kill this woman. So then they're talking, whatever, and she didn't know the survivor had a husband and a child, right? And he's now a sophomore in University of Michigan or something like that. She was like, now she's conflicted because she thought she was just a nobody person. No one's gonna miss her. She didn't realize the woman had a family. So then she's like, "I need to use the bathroom." She goes to the bathroom. She's having a conniption fit. So she loads the gun up. She comes out, and the lady like brings the tea, whatever, and she raises the gun at her. She's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm sorry." Meanwhile, before all that took place, the lady let the cat out, right? Somehow the cat's back in. And she's like, "Well, how'd you get back in?" The door's open, and there's Miles. Miles has a butcher knife, right? Okay, before I get to that part. So the mother's like, "Okay, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't." She's ready to shoot the lady. She's like, "I can't do it. I can't shoot you. I can't do it. I just can't do it." So then that's when she discovered the door is open, the cat's in, the door is open, and here's Miles with the butcher knife. He's like, which one you like, the blue or the hazel, the blue or the hazel. Now, mind you, the boy suffers from heteroglacia, two different colored eyes. So did the serial killer. So he's like, which one do you prefer, the blue or the hazel, the blue or the hazel, the blue or the hazel with the butcher knife? And she's like, that's what he said to me the night I met him. Miles stabs the lady in the side. Stabs her. Of course, the mother's like, she's useless. Stabs her, right? Miles stabs her in the side, and she goes down. And then Miles gets on top of her, right, about to finish her off. And then the mother comes to the side, and then the lady hits the mother with the hook arm, right? Didn't matter. So the Miles stabs in the stomach, right? And he's like, "This, you shouldn't have left me. Never should have left me." Well, not only did he stab her, he did the twist and then the rip. You know what I'm saying? That's when you're trying to cut everything out. There's no surgery to fix that. When you if you've ever been a stabbing victim, if you're going to stab somebody to kill them, you always stab, twist, rip. Okay. I shouldn't have told you that, but once you've been in a couple of knife fights, you know how to. That's if you're going to ever use a knife to take someone out permanently, you stab, twist, rip. Okay, there's no surgery that can fix that. You're done. Okay, you're done. Let me go back one point that I missed. So when they translated what the boy said in his dream, right? Because he said it was a good dream. The doctor, Arthur Jacobson, he's reading the letter. He said, "This is the transcript. This is what it says. It says, you filthy whore, you dirty, filthy whore. Shut your fucking mouth." Type shit. This is what he said in Hungarian. Okay, but all right, not back to it. So he's on Miles on top of the woman, stabs, twists, rips. So she's done. She's dying, bleeding out, whatever. And she's like, Miles. Miles walks out the door. So then the mother's trying to put pressure on the wound or whatever, and it takes about 2 minutes for her to die. She dies. So the mother goes out to track Miles down. Miles is out there running around in some tree field, whatever the case may be, some arbor yard, whatever, with trees, whatever. So she finally catches up to Miles, and Miles is bent over. And before I finish that part, there's one scene in the movie when it's a split shot, right, where she looks at Miles, and Miles has the face of the old man. Okay, and she looks at him again, and it's his regular. And she comes around, and it's his regular face. Okay, getting back to the end. So, she's like, "Look, she's dead. You got what you want. Leave. You can leave my son now. Leave his body, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, Miles been dead for a long time, and I'm not leaving anywhere, right?" She's like, "What do you mean? How long has he been dead? Remember that night when he asked you, would you love him despite if he did, no matter what he did?" She's like, "Yeah, he was gone since then." So she pulls out the gun. She's like, you can have his soul, but you can't have his body. So you had a gunshot. Fade to black. They're both on the ground. You know that shot when everyone's on the ground like this, and the camera's panned to the side, everyone's like this. So the mother and Miles are looking at each other like this on the ground, but the mother can't breathe. She's having trouble breathing. What? Well, how's she having trouble breathing? And then it pans out. She's been shot. Shot by whom? So Miles gets up. There's a farmer saw what was happening from the back, from a distance. He shoots the mother in the back, and she's just laying there, right? He's like, "What the hell?" So the boy's like, "She's trying to kill me." He runs to the rancher guy. She was trying to kill me. And the mother's dying. She's like, "No, no, 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 no." Right? But two things. You never see her actually die. Okay, you never see her actually die. She's just really. It's implied she died, right? This thing can go two. They can go. The sequel's coming. It's going to be a sequel. The obvious sequel is Miles, and I'm gonna get to the end part. I'm just interjecting right now. Or okay, that could be that's going to be the main focus for the sequel. Clearly, the other twist to it is, does the spirit of the mother come back in someone else's body to finish her job? That's what I will want to see in the sequel. But I'm moving on. Okay, so it goes into Miles gets dropped off by Child Protection Services to be his new family while his father is recovering in the hospital. Now that's another dynamic that needs to be resolved because I'm sure the father wants nothing to do with his child, and when he recovers out of his coma, right? Okay, so he has this thing for hands, right? Throughout the movie, he's a hand fetish freak dude. Like he loves him some hands, and him and the mother used to play the staring game, right? You know, you see who can let uh, stay who can't blink first. Where they're not blink first game, staring game. So the last time I played the staring game, they were playing and he was rubbing his mother's fingers, right? Like you shouldn't rub your mom's hands with your thumb, and it freaked her out. She's like, don't touch your mom like that again. But okay, he has this thing for hands. So the lady's like, Miles, we're so happy you're gonna be staying with us while your father recovers. Don't you want to come see your room? Don't you? And she sticks out her hand, and he looks at her hand, and he's like, this big stupid grin. He's like, hell yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah, I like your hands. So she takes him into his room, and it's got Miles on and letters and M on a big old pillow or whatever. And so then the last scene is this Hungarian tune he always hums throughout the movie because that was the same tune the killer would hum when he was working on his CCTV camera doohickeys, right? So he would always hums this tune. So the boy's humming the tune, and he looks at himself in the mirror, and then you see Isaac nude, top from the top up, nude, and that's the last scene. You see him looking at himself in the mirror. End scene. That's the movie. Wow, reincarnation, and then interjecting throughout the movie, the Miles would say, there's times that he sees himself leaving his body to make room, and the mother would ask him, "Make room for who?" And he was like, "For things." So he every night he would astral project while Isaac would come into his body and do whatever. Okay, just like Insidious, right? When the boy would astral project, but sometimes you go out too far, someone comes back in. When you leave out, there's a risk someone comes back in. So this is what happens with the boy. Clear. And so, wow, yeah. So I didn't curse too much. I think I did pretty good with this review. If you're mad I spoiled it, like seriously, this is what the hell I do. I spoil movies.